History is shaped by the ones who make it in the field, on the ground, on the front line, behind the curtains. And not always by the ones on the screens who you see telling the stories. A new chapter, maybe even a new book in the history of Southern Africa, has been written in the last 50 years or so, as all the countries of the region won independence from colonial powers. A couple of generations have been writing this new script. In the African tradition of storytelling, we are bringing to you the story of some of those behind the curtain writers of history. The inspiration comes from a road trip. Going to trek in the Drakensberg Mountains and listening to a podcast, actually about the history of Africa. It struck me that it never spoke about women. It blows my mind that we can still do that. We are only half of the world's population. Actually, a little bit over half. So, in line with the work we do in MOVA, I decided to tell the story of those hidden figures. Yes, following the inspiration from the movie. And that is how Wild Basil came off the ground. A podcast that tells the stories of some heroes that are changing the narrative of a region. We have been working on this project for the last year, and no title seemed right, until one of the participants of MOVA, that works in a buffer zone of the Chimanimani National Park, came up with a picture that for her represented women. It was a wild basil. She explained that she took this picture because a wild basil is a plant that, when cared for, thrives. However, when not, it always gives flowers, but then dries out and dies. And for her, that was the image of women. They would always ensure that their children, family, communities would thrive, even at the cost of themselves. But when they thrive, just imagine what can be achieved. That was it. Wild Basil became the title. In this season, we have looked for those figures in the conservation sector. They transformed it from a white man concept to a local pride and a treasure to protect. And with it, they are also making history. This podcast tells their stories. Wild Basil, a podcast produced by MOVA. Written by Luiz Guimarães Scherer Navarro and Martin Kennen. Music by Carson Mukavelli. Historical Advisor, Stephanie Erdang. Scientific Advisor, Ghislain Ribes. Recording, Carson Studio Maputo. Directed by Martin Kennen. Funded by AFD. Find us on movamoz.co.mz.